Hello, everybody. We'll give it one more minute.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Doing fine, thank you. All right, it's 6 o'clock. I think we can begin. I have a quorum concern. Let's see. Okay, this is a meeting of the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee for September 11th, 2024. It is 6:01 p.m. Item number one is the call to order and establish quorum. Maribel usually takes the role, but she's not here with us today. She sent her apologies. And instead we have Maria Arciniega from Animal Services. Maria, can you please call the roll for us today? And welcome.
Hello, welcome. So we have the chairman, Mr. Canales.
Present.
We have Ruby.
Present.
We have Ms. Barbara.
Present.
We have Ms. Sandy DeFranco. We have Eileen.
Present.
We have Ms. Valdez.
Present.
Am I missing anybody?
Yes, Mr. Bro.
Mr. Burrow. And we have legal. Mr. Carlos Armendariz.
I'm here.
Okay, I believe we have a quorum.
Have
1,
a
2,
quorum?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, excellent.
Sir.
Okay, we can move to item number 2. This is discussion and action on approval of the minutes for the July 10th, 2024 meeting. That should have been sent out. I'll entertain a motion to approve. Anybody?
Motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion
I
from
second that motion.
Eileen and a second from Terry.
Mr. Bro.
Yes,
Yes.
we have a
Terry
motion from Eileen and a second from Terry. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Right, I hear no opposed, and the minutes are approved unanimously. Mr. Bro, I'll just remind you, in order to be counted as present for the meeting, you have to be on camera. It's the
I
Texas
know.
Open Meetings Act.
I'm trying to do that.
Okay, no problem. I just want to make
I-
sure you're counted as present. So as soon as you can get that
Yeah.
camera going.
Yeah, she sends out the, I guess the site. This time I dialed in, but usually she sends out the site and then it just puts me in on camera. So I'm either have to go out and try to find
I
the
see.
link,
Okay.
or either
It is
yeah.
it is the same link every time. So if you've received it from Maribel before in an email, it's the same link as last time and all the previous.
Okay, so I'm a pull back out and go get the link and come back in.
No problem. Sounds good.
Okay, hey, thank you.
In the meanwhile, we'll move to item number 3, reports. Support the city of El Paso's initiative to reach and sustain a 90% or greater live release rate by 2025. 3A is the chair report. I don't have that extensive of a report last time. If you'll jog my memory, I think I did share the information about the awarded contract for the West Side Adoption Center last time. Is that correct? Anybody? Eileen,
I
you don't remember? That's okay. I can share it again.
No,
The city council, this was now, I believe, 6 weeks ago. So before the last meeting, approved construction contract for the phase 1 renovation of the West Side Adoption Center. So that's the buildings on the upper level, the one that looks like a Pizza Hut, and the main kennel space, the building that will be the main kennel space, also on the upper level. And then it's also the outdoor meet and greet areas, the parking lot, and the walking trail around that entire upper portion of the site. And that was $7.9 million, I believe. I'll make sure that's correct. 7.6 or 7.9 million. So a very significant renovation that will leave that as a ready to go, functioning, fully equipped adoption center. And then phase 2 to follow after that will be the building that's down below that currently has the dogs in it now. That will have additional kennel space and some other administrative space, and I believe the veterinary suite as well. So kind of finishing it out as an entire animal services second location. The first part is the first phase is the adoption center, right? That'll get it to fully functioning as an adoption center. Are there any questions about that one? Barbara, go ahead. I see your hand up.
So just to clarify, we didn't have a meeting last month.
That's
we
right.
didn't have a quorum in August.
Yeah, so it would have been 2 meetings ago.
Yeah, so just
Well-
to clarify why some people are remembering and not remembering, and then
That's
I
right.
wasn't there in July. So just a quick question.
Sure.
So the West Side Shelter will be a full-fledged shelter. It won't be just adoptions. It'll also be intakes and spays and neuters. Is
The plan, and correct me if I'm wrong, Terry, the plan is to have it eventually functioning as more of a second location, but it will not immediately be able to do intakes and space and neuters. Some of those additional improvements happen in a second phase that will follow later. I don't know that it is ever going to be the primary intake point, but it will be equipped as the adoption center after phase 1. Am I right, Terry?
Yes, there's on that phase 1, there's no surgical suites or anything like that. So, I mean, we have difficulty just doing enough surgeries at our shelter. Plus, we have the other clinic on the east side. So, yes, at this particular time, there's no surgical. Really, we don't have the staffing to create that, so we're not going to put that in there in this phase 1 at all. there'll be medical quarantine areas and there'll be vet tech staff there, but it's no surgeries.
And again, is for the plan is for a more full veterinary suite to follow in that second phase. So obviously that will take some time. The priority is to get the adoption center up and running up on the top level.
Correct.
And then related to that, the city council will be hearing a request from the city for the special permit for that facility to operate as a permanent facility. So that's in the pipeline as well, was introduced to city council essentially 2 weeks ago. And I think the public hearing is in 2 weeks. It's mostly a formality, but it is something that's required in order for that location to function as a permanent animal shelter. And so that will be coming forward to the council in the next 2 weeks before the next meeting of the ASAC. Those are all the updates for me. Are there any other questions on item 3A? Any comments? Okay, we can move then to item 3B. This is El Paso Animal Services July and August 2024 update and statistics. Mr. Kepschel, you have the director's report. Go ahead.
So I'm going to actually let our deputy director give this month's.
Oh, excellent.
To let him give a little introduction to himself as well, and in case I'm not around, make sure that things go smoothly.
All right.
So he'll give it.
Michael, welcome to you.
Thank you so much. Let me get my camera on. Can everybody see me?
Yes.
So yes, we got the introduction. So yeah, my name is Michael. For those who haven't had the privilege of meeting yet, I do come from Houston, Texas. So I guess technically today is my 6 months. So my background is animal welfare. I've been doing that for over a decade out there. So here I am in Houston or in El Paso now. And so let's go ahead and get started with that director's report. So let me see if I can get this screen to share. Sharing for me. There it is. Can everybody see this okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, this is the director's report for animal services for September 2024. Just a reminder of our goals as an organization. If you haven't seen these yet, please take the time to read them. We want to reduce the number of pets entering the shelter as also increasing our awareness with the city of El Paso. So this was our intake for August. So it's kind of broken down to dogs and cats. So as you can see, we had 1,742 animals come in as strays. Of those, so we had about, I think it's 1,049 dogs that came in and 1,070 cats that came in through the variety of intake areas. So strays, our owner surrenders, owner requested euthanasias, transfer ins, and others. So on this next page is going to break it down by month. And so you can see that our intake for strays have kind of gone down in the past couple months, which is part of our goals. One of the things that we want to do is prevent animals from coming into the shelter. This does not mean that we are turning away people. You'll see that in a later slide, but our strays came in a total of 1,742. You'll see that we did have an uptick in our owner surrenders. So June was 60, July was 59, and then all of a sudden we jumped to August with 99. So we also had an increase in our owner requested euthanasias. And then Our transfer department is also kind of ballooned up a little bit. You can see that at 135 intakes. And then this is kind of where our outcomes page is at. So as you can see, 742 adoptions. That is our best month for the entirety of the year. Traditionally, August is our most busiest month as far as adoptions. We kind of set an internal goal right around a 700. I think it was 702. And so obviously we have beat that goal of 742. Our return to owners 219. Our transfer outs almost 300. Again, large number of transferring outs. And then our spay neuters are a little over 300. So our total outcome is 1972. And then that's how it compares to the previous months. Again, you see that increase in adoptions, dramatic, almost 100 more adoptions than the previous month of July. Our owner surrenders are kind of evening out. So 258 was kind of a large month for us in July. That's kind of when we started rolling out our more frequent posts on Facebook as far as animals that had entered the shelter from the previous day. So I don't know if y'all have been on Facebook, but please join our Lost and Found page and share those pages. We have a lot of dogs, and we do believe that a lot of those dogs getting returned to their owners are from people that have seen their dog on our Facebook page. Our transfer outs, again, almost 300. Again, a lot of spay and neuters. And then this is our foster animals. So as you can see, we started a lot of fosters. We currently have quite a bit of out in foster at the moment. For those who do not know or just haven't got that information yet, we did have a new doctor start at the end of last month. His name is Dr. Hernandez. So once he's kind of get his feet wet, we're going to increase those currently out. We expect that to drop dramatically. So right now they're averaging about 75 spay and neuters a day. We're going to slowly increase that as his feet get a little bit wet. So a large number, but we expect it to drop in the next couple of months. This is our euthanasias. So as you can see, have quite a few euthanasias. Most of those are going to be for medical reasons through infectious, non-infectious, and some trauma stuff. With a few behaviors, our behaviors being about 53. So yeah, there's really not much to add to that. We do have a lot of disease, but it's not necessarily the bad disease that you typically hear about from that distemper stuff. Our distemper is relatively low compared to last year. This is our kind of chart for our behavior euthanasias. What you will notice is that July and August are both in orange. When we sent out the report earlier in the month, they were purple. We noticed that our neonate kittens, the ones that were failure to thrive, so the ones that were teeny tiny babies, they were actually on top of our behavior list. And so this slide right here denotes that change. So 82 for the month of July, and then a dramatic cut in August of 53. And then these are some of the animals that have died in our care. As you can see on the top left, most of those are going to be failure to thrive. So shelter failure to thrive and foster failure to thrive. We're talking coming up at the end of the kitten season. A lot of those failure to thrives are because of our kittens. You can kind of see that in the bottom right-hand side. A lot of those, again, foster failure to thrive, 46, and then shelter failure to thrive, 21. These are baby kittens that are roughly 1 to 2 weeks old that are not thriving without their mama. So we want to try to keep babies with their mama before they get into the shelter. But this is what this is reflecting. And some good news, our live release rate has increased dramatically since the past couple months. So we are at 82% currently. So roughly 9% increase from 2 months ago when it comes to all animals. Yeah. Increase in dog live release rates is always a good thing. You're seeing those live release rates from those neonate kittens that have kind of grown up and are actually getting adopted by their foster parents. And then this is kind of the trend for the calendar year. So obviously we had that dip back in February, but we are on the uptick when it comes to June. So June, July, August, again, increasing pretty dramatically. I expect us to be higher than that in September. If you do look, we are kind of matching the trends of 2021 when it comes to March and onward. So I expect us to kind of match that. I do expect our September, October to be higher than the 2021. And then this is it on the fiscal year. I'll pause a little bit so y'all can kind of see that. This is our community pet support and found reports created. So we're having a lot of people that have found dogs and then they're able to return them back to their owner because we've given microchip number or phone numbers or anything like that. We don't necessarily get the information that the animal has technically been returned. That's why you see the community RTO so low compared to traditional years. And then our found reports are also down. So like last year, we're easily in around the 500 area. This year, we're a little bit lower than 2023. And these are kind of the numbers, and we'll compare that with 2023. This is 2024. So again, intake is down 2,119. Then we got total outcomes of 1561. So our total live release rate is 82 at the moment of August. And then if you compare that to August of last year, you'll notice that that intake was 1264. So we are, and I'll flip it back to the other page. We have increased almost 900 animals compared to last August, with the same amount, if not a little bit more, positive outcomes. And you can see that between both of them. And so this is our total intake. So again, 2,119. As you can see, our no appointment intakes are 1,077. This is because we are an open intake. So we got a lot of animals coming in that are not necessarily have been announced to us. So again, they just show up. I found the dog on the way to work. Those intakes are reflected there at 1,077, 562 from the field, and then 480 through the surrenders, returns, and all that stuff. This is an important page that I would ask or request if you could take a picture of that QR code. El Paso Animal Services and Friends of El Paso Animal Services are going to be at Pups at the Pitch game. We are currently trying to do some microchipping there from 12 to 2. The Friends of El Paso Animal Services is trying to sell 100 tickets. So if you're interested in soccer or football, whatever side of the pond you're on, please go out and buy some tickets. We are trying to get to 100 tickets sold. And then Justice for the Paws. Both of these events happen on the September 28th. So it's a pretty big day for us. We're going to be in a bunch of events on that day. And this is another page that I would ask that y'all take a picture of. These are some of the big things that we're having for the month of September. As you can see on the right-hand side, we did just clear the shelter, and we have 4 microchip events coming up as a bunch of mobile adoption events, education events, and foster volunteer events. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer, please reach out to us. We will gladly use your assistance and try to use you to the best of our abilities with the skill set that you have. And then that's it. Any questions? Any slides that y'all would like me to go back to?
I got a question.
Yeah, Mr. Bro, I see you with your hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, so we do adopt dogs out. I know that. And I know that I guess my question would be, do we have a way to go out and check to make sure these people who adopt the dogs, that the dogs are getting proper care? You know, you can adopt a dog, and a lot of people leave them out in heat. They do all kind of crazy stuff. Do we have any kind of program where we go out and just like take a peek at them?
We don't
I'll
currently, yeah, I was gonna say, I'll let Terry answer that question.
Yeah. So currently we do not have anything like that. For the most part, we depend a lot on the public to reach out if they see something, say something, those types of things, and or call 311. So those are all those cases for standard of care. They'll reach out. We will do some spot checks if we're noticing something like somebody adopting a lot of animals, somebody that's, for some reason they're coming on our radar. But those are far and few between. But for typically, we don't have a program just to automatically do that now.
Oh, okay. Who maintains your website? I need to kind of get with them because I got a business and a lot of people go in there for my business because my business is Dynamic Service Dog. I would like to put your data on there so we can get dogs adopted out because a lot of time people are asking me like, well, where do I adopt a dog from? What do I have to do? If I had y'all information on there and kept it posted, it would cut down the question and answer thing. Plus, they'll probably go to the shelter and take care of getting one. Because I don't advocate for buying a dog from no vendor. I'm against that.
Right. So you could send that information to either Maria or Maribel that's on here, or to I think they have an ASAC email. It's just asac@elpasotexas.gov. Just send it to that, and then they can forward it to whomever. Any information that that you need to pass along, that's the best way. It just shows that it came from an ASAC member, and then they can forward it to the proper channels.
Yeah, because I mean, it seems like y'all keep y'all information current, so
Yes, we do.
it'll help out. Yeah, it'll help out y'all as well. I mean, for me, businesses, I always got business. I'm turning down more business than I'm taking in most of the time. But it would help. The idea that more people go in there, they will see it. I got a service dog program. They might say, "Hey, if I adopt a dog from there, would you take me on as a client to do service dog training?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'll do that."
Yep, no problem.
Okay. Hey, thanks a lot.
No, thank you.
All right, Sandy, you were next in the line. Go ahead.
Yes, just going back to the slides, the one for outcome comparatives. I'm looking at owner requested euthanasia for the month of August. 25 dogs and 1 cat. And when you look at the slide for euthanasia, same category, it's showing 35 dogs and 1 cat. There's 10 dogs difference there. Can you explain why?
You want me to get that one too, Mike?
Yes, I'm trying to understand the first part of that question of the euthanasias.
Okay,
So the intake numbers.
Yes, intake outcome comparatives.
So the intake numbers don't match the outcome numbers.
So yeah, the intake numbers and the outcome, they would be different because we are still currently doing adoptions. We are still treating animals. So for example, if we have 1,000 animals in the shelter, our numbers are expected to be off by 1,000 when it comes to income and outcome. There are other factors that kind of play into that, but that's usually why there's that difference.
But I think she's talking about the euthanasia for owner requested in particular, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay,
yes,
so when what you're looking at is on the one slide, the intake. So that's specifically intake. So that's a different number. So how many animals came in for those variety of reasons? So we get animals coming in for stray, owner surrender, owner requested for youth. So those are just those numbers. So just because somebody brings in an animal for euthanasia doesn't necessarily mean we're going to euthanize it. But that's the reason why it came in. If we pick up an animal off the street, it's a stray, and so that's what it becomes. Then when you look at the outcomes, that's a totally different category. Again, That's the outs. So an animal could come in as as a stray, and then the owner does not want it. They want it euthanized for whatever reason. It gets out all the time and it bit somebody. So that wasn't the owner bringing it. Didn't intake. We didn't intake that animal as an owner requested youth. We intaked it because it was stray and it bit somebody. So that's the reason why it is. But the outcome on it was ultimately that owner said, "I want it euthanized." Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, it does now, because I know you have addressed it before, and was still a little confusing, but I think I understand the gist of that. And then I know that when they do bring them in, you make sure that the animal, I guess you give it a chance, right? If I understand you correctly too, because it might be an adoptable pet.
Right.
So-
We do give it a chance, but we also ask for evidence. So obviously, if somebody brings in a dog and we ask them, it just bit my 4-year-old child, and they show us the, bad bite. It's going to be much quicker for us just to accept that reason to euthanize that dog because it, did some very severe damage on a child or something. But if they're just saying, "Oh, it's biting and I don't want it anymore," and that dog's just sitting there, little puppy eyes on it, we're going to say, "Okay, we'll take it in and then we'll do our own assessment, making sure." And it can go other ways too, just as another example on that. So we could get an animal in as an owner surrendered, an owner intended euthanasia, and the outcome on that could become an adoption. Just that what we're just saying. So just the intake is only intake how it came in, and the outcome is how it went out.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Eileen, you have your hand up next. Go ahead.
Okay, my questions were regarding the transfer in and transfer out numbers. If you can just clarify for me, I know we've gone over these numbers. You could just remind me, the transferred in, is that coming from like county, or where are those animals being transferred in from? And same thing transferred out.
So it could be a variety of reasons. So some are coming from counties, some are coming from other cities, small rescue groups. Those transfers in could be any number of things, usually organizations. The hope is that they're 501c3. The transfer outs are the same thing. We can transfer out to the same rescues to help with the spay neuter aspect. Or if we found, let's say, a rescue that's willing to take this cute little pug or something like that, we might reach out to a pug rescue. So the transfer ins can be from a variety of avenues as well as the transfer outs.
Okay, so anything that's just not like a general public person.
Correct.
Okay. And then my other question, sorry, I have 2 more. The next one is on the new doctor that you announced. Is that in addition to Dr. Chavarria, or he left and this is Dr. Hernandez is the replacement?
So we still have Dr. Chacon, but
Chacon,
this, Dr. Hernandez is our new veterinarian. So he's an addition to me. Yeah.
Yay,
So we now have
that's good.
two full-time.
Okay.
veterinarians.
Yay, that's good news. I was like, oh no, we just lost one. Okay. Thank you for that. And then just the last question I had was regarding the found pet reports. Is that number something that is found pet reports created? Is that when the public goes online and creates their own report, or is it when they call in and the shelter creates a report, or is it a combination of both? That gets all together lumped into one?
If I'm not mistaken, I'll let Terry kind of take that.
It's the same system.
It's the same. Yeah,
it's the same system. So people can go to the website directly and do that, or some people will call 311 and 311 will assist them, and it goes into that same system.
Same number. Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I was very, very tempted to announce the veterinarian news in the chair report, and I didn't want to steal their thunder. I left it for you, Michael.
Sorry about that.
But I was really, really excited about it too when I heard the news. I know it's only from 1 to 2, but it's a doubling of our veterinarian power. So that's good. And it'll hopefully free us up to do some good things.
He is doing great. He's doing a lot of surgeries to the point Dr. Chacon just keeps increasing the amount of surgeries that he's able to do a day.
But I will note, we still have some job listings up. Of course, there's still vacant positions for veterinarians, so doesn't mean we can rest. Like I say every time, if anybody knows anybody, if you have any leads on someone, maybe someone graduating from veterinary school or moving to El Paso, looking for a job somewhere, send them our way. All right, are there any other questions about the director's report? Any other discussion? Don't see any hands up. Okay, let's see. Okay, I hear none. We can move then to item number 4. This is called to the public. Maria, did we have anybody signed up to speak today?
No, sir, I did not have anybody request from the
Okay,
public.
yep. I didn't receive any either. Is there anybody who is on the call who intended to speak during call to the public? Okay, I don't hear anybody. We can move then to item number 5. This is the main agenda. 5A is research and advise on effective ordinances and policies to improve overall health, welfare, and safety for animals. And item A1, this is discussion on overcrowded shelters across the state and US, different programs that are working and not working, and how they would work or not work for El Paso. This was submitted by Barbara Candelaria, who I know has been waiting patiently to hear this item because it got bumped once and then we didn't have a meeting. So finally, here we are to discuss item A1. Go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of the states that are doing great and the other states that are not so great. So I'll go with the good first. New Hampshire, Delaware, and Vermont are tied for first. They are no-kill states, okay? And what makes them no-kill is they don't have to put down for space. They've got strict ordinances concerning animals. They've got great spay and neuter opportunities, and they're very, very pet friendly. A lot of great, a lot of people take very good care of their pets. Next is Rhode Island, 0.3%. North Dakota, 0.5% as far as the animals that they do put down. Then it's Maine for number 4, Idaho number 6, 1.0, Colorado, Vermont, and Oregon. The 3 of them are in 6th place. Colorado has very strict laws concerning the amount of animals that you can own. They have some great rescues. Some or a lot of their counties now no longer have that pit bull restriction like they did. They are starting to allow the pit bulls again. Vermont and Oregon, and again, a lot of these states, very pet friendly. You can take your dog with you everywhere. Then Montana, Connecticut, very strict, especially with their dog grooming ordinances and where you can have them and storing chemicals and all that. Utah, so Montana, Connecticut, and Utah, number 7. Missouri, number 8. Washington, number 9. And Ohio, number 10 at 2.6. Okay, now the bad. So, unfortunately, Texas is number 1 in the United States. We've even surpassed California. Although they're basically tied, Texas right now, out of 379 shelters, only the ones that are no kill or even trying to be no kill or close as 141. And then out of those 379 shelters, only 340 have reported their statistics. So there's some shelters that aren't even reporting the statistics. And then in California, 103 out of 231 are no-kill shelters. And out of those 231, only 204 are reporting. So even though they're tied, in a sense, California is doing a little bit better. There is a lawyer out in Georgia who I got some of these statistics from. I'll tell you a little bit more about her story when I get to what works and what doesn't work. North Carolina is third, Florida is fourth, Alabama is fifth, Georgia is sixth, Louisiana is seventh. I know they have the pit bulls and parolees out there, but they're still having a hard time. Number 8 is Mississippi. Number 9 is Oklahoma. And number 10 is Kentucky. So even though Texas, California, Georgia, Florida, even though they have high euthanasia rates, there are small pockets of some no-kill shelters that are doing the best to maintain. So in Georgia, there's a lawyer out there who got started with adopting an animal in 2005. She moved from Washington, D.C. Anyway, from there, it took a few years and then she took off and she teaches law school. And she's the one who advocated in her community and changed laws and ordinances and was able to get more spay and neuters. She contracted with local vets and was able to get 2 days a week in vets' offices to provide spays and neuters. What she also did was, if you were caught with your dog not spayed or out and about, you have the choice of getting your dog spayed and neutered for free, or the next time it was caught, they would spay and neuter it, and then you would have to pay the fine and for the spay and neutering. They made local ordinances, and as a result of the spay and neuter, 75%, there's a 75% decrease and 75% animals that were altered. She did a huge study throughout the different zip codes, finding out which areas were in need. She also studied the whole map of the United States. And in agreement, if you look at the states, it's mostly the South and the Southeast that are having the issues. She also talked about the causes. And I know I'm repeating myself, but the big causes were during the pandemic, spays and neuters were not critical surgeries. So a lot of animals were not spayed and neutered. There were a lot of adoptions. Then people went back to work. They lost their jobs. And then, I mean, just tons of animals were going into all these shelters. And all of these shelters that were once no kill are now kill shelters, because now they're having to euthanize at high rates because of space. There's a huge bottleneck in the number of course, adoptions. San Diego, California, that in Carlsbad, out there in San Diego, they had a great relationship with the Humane Society and the rescues, to where that shelter was empty all the time. And now the Humane Society in California, in San Diego, they're not adopting enough animals. And so it's causing a huge backup at that shelter in California, in San Diego. And again, it goes back to the pandemic, the vet shortage. There's more vets retiring than vets graduating from vet school. For every 5 or 6 vets that are retiring every year, there's only 2 vets to replace them. And then some vets, they're just burnt out. And so they leave the industry early and do something else. So some have been able to recover and slowly, and others are having a really hard time. So I checked in to, besides the one in Georgia that's doing better and did all that research, I checked in with San Antonio, with Houston, and with Dallas. So San Antonio, they put their daily euthanasia rates, and it's called putting down for capacity, or euthanasia for capacity. And I mean, they put down the times that they're euthanizing the dogs. It's Monday through Friday at 11:30. And today, they were going to euthanize several dogs, all pit bull mixes, and one of them was pregnant. And some of these dogs were only there for 6 days. Some were there for 10 days. So they do have a daily limit. The sad thing is they have so many resources. They too have San Antonio Pets Alive, and San Antonio Pets Alive is the rescue that only gets dogs from San Antonio's animal services, those that will be euthanized. And they're jam-packed full, and they can't always get all those animals that are being euthanized. They have 26 zip codes in San Antonio that allow for free spays and neuters. And all you have to do is take your bill for one of your utilities and your ID, and you can schedule for your animal to be spayed for free. They also have many other rescues. They have a better relationship with their rescues. But despite that, and despite, you know, all the spays and neuters, the extra vets that they have, they're still having a hard time. They also have a county. Oh, and all of the rescues, Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, they all said capacity alert. They all were on the red zone in that they were over capacity. So they're at about anywhere, some months they've been at 50%, and other months they have been at 70 something percent. Next, and then right outside of San Antonio, they have Bexar County. They only have 60 kennels, but they're not very adoption friendly. You have to still go and pick the animal that you want to look at online, and then they contact you. And I did try to call these places, and it's all of them are always busy and they never get back to you. I did try to email, and they say they'll get back to you really quickly, but unless they've got people at computers 24/7, there was no response back on any questions. Then I went to Dallas. Oh my God. So Dallas is having a much better time. Dallas has got a 70-something% live release rate. And even though they only have 388 kennels, they have 532 dogs right now. They have 108 cats with 101 kennels. They do require for you to spay and neuter your dog. They do have some laws. Your dogs must be fixed, vaccinated, microchipped. They do spays and neuters. They have all kinds of promotions to get your dog in to get spayed and neutered. If you got a ticket or a citation, you can go online, talk to the judge. They'll schedule you a time and place so that there's no excuse. They've got a great pet food pantry. They've also got the biggest discount on heartworm prevention. It's a heck of a lot cheaper here than El Paso, and you can only get it from your vet. But they've got really good discount prices on all of that. They've got different vets. They've got a clinic, and they also transport a lot out. And they've got a ton of partners. They've got 23 zip codes that they provide the free and low cost vet, and they've got a lot of partners. I mean, close to 30, 40 partners. Then we went to Houston. Houston's not doing too good right now. They do have a program called Fix Houston. They do get a lot of transfers out. They had like over 500 transfers this month. They do give free spays and neuters inside the city limits, but unfortunately they're at a 58.49%. So based on that, based on Georgia, based on other little tidbits that I've looked at, the only thing that I see that El Paso is lacking is we need a low cost, no cost spay and neuter. I know at Animal Services we do have spays and neuters, but I know it's not enough. I know that they're like a month out. And we need better relationships with our rescues. A lot of the dogs in San Antonio, there is San Antonio Pets Alive. They go there. Dallas has a ton of rescues that they have partners with that they go with. Of course, Austin has Austin Pets Alive that they strictly go with them. So I know we do have a few rescues working with us that help us out. I know Humane Society recently took a few more animals than what they've been taking. I don't know if that was for the telethon, but based on this and based on what I found, we need more free spays and neuters. Of course, we could use, another thing was community, instead of the dog catchers or animal service officers, they're more community officers. There's more trust with the community. And instead of issuing citations, they help them. They automatically right away can schedule an appointment for them to get their dogs spayed and neutered. They even have volunteers that'll help transport the dogs back and forth for them. What works, or what I feel could work for us, is again more spays and neuters. I know we have a huge vet shortage here in El Paso. Trying to work with some of our rescue people, a better relationship. I know people call the rescues here in El Paso all the time to help them out. They're moving, they're being evicted, and the rescues always say that they're full. So that's my perception of what I saw in this research, and also not wanting to constantly repeat myself as far as the vet shortage and the pandemic, is trying to move forward, and how and what we can do to do that. Oh, and one more thing, they were offering for large dogs, some of them were offering like $250 to foster, and if you adopted it, $500. In one area, it only helped one weekend, and it really only helped to get 36 dogs out. So I don't know if that would work here. And I don't know if we would have it in the budget for that. Any questions?
Mr. Bro, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, so you saying that we have limited resources for spade and neuters. Is it any way that we could talk to all the clinics that are in El Paso and see if they will offer free spade and neuter?
Well, right now, Animal Services is offering limited free spays and neuters. It's on Monday. I don't know how many Mondays, but those slots are taken. We also have contracted out to veterinarians in the city of El Paso, contracted clinics to spay and neuter, but we're paying them, the city of El Paso is paying them what you and I would pay when we go into the vet's office. So
Yeah.
yes, we do. Part of how we could possibly, so now we have a new vet. So hopefully that'll open up more spaces. We originally built the Socorro shelter to be a low-cost spay-neuter clinic. We're able to open that up 1 or 2 weekends a month, but that's mostly TNRs. And it's hard getting the staff out there because when we take the staff from Animal Services over to the Socorro clinic, that limits the staff and time at the main shelter at Animal Services. So currently we do have that, but we still have the budget in the room for another vet. We still need some more animal control officers. We still need some more kennel attendants. And I believe there's some other foster coordinator or other positions open that we need to fill. But we're hoping that through some more grants, PetSmart, Petco, Maddie's Fund, they often give grants for spays and neuters. They give you so much money and you use that for spays and neuters. So if Terry has any more information, and if I said something wrong, Terry?
Sorry, I was trying to find the mic button.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, where are them jobs? Where do you look for them jobs that are openings? Because I got some people that might want to look into the job part of for them openings that you say are available.
So all of our jobs are posted on the city's website under the HR, and it has a link on current openings, something to that nature.
Okay. I'm taking notes.
I will. I'll put a link in the chat here.
Okay. Thank you.
And Barbara, you're right. We do offer. It's not free on Mondays. It's $50 for those spay neuters, and we do roughly 30 with a new vet once he gets ramped up and we get more of a better flow. We're looking at possibly adding some more in that route. But yeah, everything else you said is spot on. It's you can throw all the money you can at that you want at it, but there's also that difficulty of just scheduling everything. Even private clinics, you're waiting a month or 2 months to get a spay neuter. So money's not always the answer. It does definitely help. But there's also that scheduling and capacity issues.
Mr. Rose, at the end of your comments.
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to add, if I can, that back in I believe it was 2019. Let me see, I have it up in front of me. Hold on. The city council back then approved that agreement with the El Paso Veterinary Medical Association for additional spay and neuter services. It was up to 300 feral cat spays, 400 feral cat neuters, 500 canine spays, 500 canine neuters, and a number of vaccinations as well. And that was partially funded with grant funding. But as if I recall, Terry, Mr. Kepschel, the terms of this were modified during the pandemic. The VMA said that they no longer had the capacity to meet the terms of this, if I remember that happening. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what it was modified to. I think they reduced the capacity that they were able to provide on an annual basis. Is that correct?
That I really don't know. I haven't
It was
even
before
seen
your
anything.
time as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that I
so-
don't even think it exists anymore.
Right, yeah, and that has expired as well. And so that was a service that the city provided, well, that the VMA provided to the city in the past, and it did help during the pandemic. But again, then the VMA decided they were no longer able to fulfill what they had told the city that they could do by contract.
Okay,
Barbara, behind you.
so what happened is that all shelters throughout the United States signed contracts with governors saying that because spay and neuter was not an important surgery and all of the equipment and services had to go for COVID,
Right.
most cities. But last year, I'm sorry, when we didn't have a vet, and I believe it was 2021, and we were getting all these animals into the shelter and having to put 2 and 3, and we didn't have a vet, we did contract out with veterinarians in El Paso, and some of them were All-Star, TLC, and I don't know the other vets that,
Right.
but we are still contracted. I know with TLC, I know a few of their vet techs on their days off have come in and have helped at animal services or on Saturdays when they do have the surgeries. So we still are contracted with those veterinarians, with those clinics. There are also a couple of contract vets. There's Dr. Coinkheim. She comes in on Saturdays for the TNR for the cats. And Dr. Flossie, who has retired from Humane, he's one of the contract vets that come in. The other thing that, just quickly, other states are not as strict about the drugs used during the spay and neuter. So in other states, they were able to set up mobile spay and neuter clinics, like rent one of the city shelters and have a huge spay and neuter event. In the state of Texas, you have to have a vet sign off for the drugs. You have to have a full-time vet responsible to sign off. And being that we didn't have a full-time vet at Animal Services, our contracted vets at the time couldn't perform the surgeries. There had to be a full-time vet. So that was another issue that set us back, and that set back other Texas shelters. Just quickly, case in point, in 22, I adopted a dog from my Stella Luna, AKA Chicken Wing, from Animal Services. I adopted her, and instead of waiting for Animal Services to set up an appointment to spay and neuter, I paid for it. I took her to my vet and had her spayed and neutered, and also had to amputate a leg on her. So it wasn't until November that they had a space available for me to spay and neuter her. So we've caught up on all of those spays and neuters from 21 and 22. So now you know, we're trying to get back to spaying and neutering, you know, as they come in, and trying to also do the low cost spays and neuters on the side.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Kipschel, the veterinary work that we have with some outside veterinarians, that's all on an independent contractor basis, right? I don't think we have a standing contract with the EPVMA.
So we do have a contract with the EPVMA. So all their members, basically, we utilize the EPVMA to under their umbrella to utilize several vets throughout the city. So we utilize them. City council authorized us to make them kind of like the middleman to disperse the funding. We get the invoices, we go over them together. And so say, you know, Dr. Veterinarian over at this clinic, he did X amount of surgeries. We verify, then we pay through the EPVMA, giving them some funding. Again, kind of like what Barbara said, there's not a deep discount at all. We do have some vets that work with us better than others, but yeah, it's still up to their capacity as well. And we've been utilizing them more for catching up on the foster to adopt. So the foster ones, getting those finalized so that we could finalize the adoptions.
Okay, but it's more of like, so then it's kind of on a task order basis. There's no, they haven't guaranteed a number of surgeries that they're
No, there's
from.
no guarantees. No, it's up to what they have, what their capacities are, at what they can do for us.
Okay. Thank you. Eileen, you have your hand up. Go ahead. Sorry, we kept you waiting for a while.
No, I'm laughing because my question has just evolved and changed because my question was going to be regarding the mandatory spay neuter. Barbara, I know that you said that some of those cities have laws in place to require them to require the spay neuter. But it sounds like obviously that the barrier to doing that here would be that even if to enforce it, we'd have to have a place for them to get the spays and neuters done, and we're already lacking in that already. Is that
So yes, they have set up with local veterinarians. I mean, if you were to look at some of the resources, sorry, it's feeding time at my mom's house for the dogs. It's a little loud. I apologize. So Dallas is able to do it. The Athens, Georgia, where this attorney put her foundation in there, she was able to contract with local veterinarians, and she was able to get 2 days a week in their surgical suite, and they were able to schedule people. Here, you're right. It's kind of hard for us to do that. Hopefully with this new vet, it'll help us. It'll help us a lot more. And oh my goodness, it'll help us a lot more. We do have Dr. Medina's van. We do have Dr. Schneider with that low cost, but by the time all is said and done, it's still pretty pricey. So yes, getting more vets in this town, getting more vets to participate would be helpful. Now, the other thing that they did was they had litter permits, and they were able to work with the legal breeders to turn in the backyard breeders, and the backyard breeders were also offered to spay and neuter at no cost. If they caught them again, then they would have to pay the fines, pay for the spays and neuters, and they would shut them down. So they did give them opportunities to improve. Here in El Paso, even though we did do laws for breeders, it hasn't been enforced, and we're lucky if we get 1 or 2 people even applying for a breeder permit.
Well,
So
that was
yes.
kind of another question I had, and I don't, Terry, maybe you can answer this. I came across it because it was on one of the groomers page. Kaya Kennels, they have some furry Frenchie puppies that they were promoting, and on their page it says, like, the page is obviously full of, and it's like, this is the stud, this is the female, this is the whatever, but yet at the top he says, these are personal pets, nothing is for sale. So is he, I obviously there's no permits within this, here for El Paso. So is there some loophole that they're using based on the wording on their page that they're able to get through and say, like, they're rehoming a personal pet, or how are they getting through that?
They're not getting to it. If we have the information, we'll go investigate. So every pet, even if you have if we did have a breeder, which we don't, anytime you have a litter, you're required to have a litter permit. So that's first and foremost. So they have to have that. And then anytime you advertise, you have to have that litter permit posted with it. And you're not allowed to sell, give away, trade anything, a pet that's younger than, and I'll have to look exactly, but I think it's younger than
4 months, I think, right? 4 months
4 months.
in the code. Yeah.
You're not allowed to give them away or anything or sell them whatsoever. So there's no real loophole. So even if you say I'm going to rehome and there's no cost, you're not allowed to do that with a young animal. So it just doing all that stuff. So it's people try to use that. We are going to be looking over the next several months. We're going to be looking at all Title VII codes and stuff to see what we're lacking in on those too. See if we can figure out ways to make that even stronger, and things like that. Unfortunately, too, we also live, surrounded by communities that have no restrictions whatsoever. So a lot of times those are right outside the city limits. And so it's right there. So if you're within the county, there's no breeding restrictions, there's nothing. If it's advertised on the internet, a lot of times they don't give an address either. They just advertise it. So that's, I guess that the bottom line is, if there's things like this and you send us those posts, we're going to look into them. We're going to look into them and see what we can find. A lot of times they give false addresses and those types of things. But we'll give, so if I go to your house and you have a litter of puppies or kittens, we're going to give you a citation for, depending on what's going on. So if just for having no litter permit, we'll give you a citation on that. We're also going to check the health and welfare of the rest of your animals. If you advertise, then that's another citation. But again, it's not a whole lot of teeth either. So if I'm selling my dogs, my Labradoodle puppies for $3,000 a piece, and I give you a citation and the judge gives you a citation for, $100, that's kind of the cost of doing business. So that's one of those things that we're going to look at as we're over this next year, looking at all of our ordinances. That's going to be one of them that we want to look at to see if there's a way to give it more teeth, to give more, just more of that deterrent.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And is that something those ordinances, is that something Animal Services is will be putting in place, or is that something we need to go to like city council for, or how are those?
Yeah, so what that is if you all have ideas and stuff, we can always, take your ideas. If you find some other community that's working well, So I don't pass the ordinances, city council does. So we would put things together. I would go through legal to make sure it's a legal change and we're not violating any state or federal things. And if everything's kosher, then we can present to city council on what we would like to do. And of course, then it goes to it would be an ordinance change. So then there's it's presented then to the public and to council, and then there's a public hearing where the public can hear about it. And the type of changes I'm looking at too would require me also to, well, it's not requirement, but to make things simpler for council than ourselves, we would go to public meetings. So we would visit each of the council's districts and present to their constituents the proposed changes, those types of things. I wouldn't, so we would just show what those changes are and those benefits, what the current is. So it is a lengthy process to get that done. But right now, again, there are laws already in place that prevent that. And even those young puppies and kittens, you can't even just give them away. So it requires it. And so there's those things, and people do workarounds, and people are going to violate the law just like they do everything else. But we do our due diligence and investigating and cite where we can and when we can.
Okay. And then I just had one more question regarding, is El Paso Live part of the city, or is that like a separate entity? Like its own private organization, do you know?
I can answer this one. El Paso Live functions as part of the city, but the employees of El Paso Live are not City of El Paso employees, so it's a contracted service.
Okay, because they just had that Bully Empire event at the El Paso Convention Center, and I was just shocked that they were promoting something like that in our city, which is already obviously our shelter is overflowing. We have this problem with backyard breeders where we don't have any permitted people allowed to breed in the city, and
Right.
yet they had this group come to our convention center to promote breeding. I was shocked. I'm like, are they on the same page with the city as far as what our goals are and what we're trying to not promote?
Yeah, I wasn't even aware of that event. I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, no, unfortunately, the answer is, they kind of operate on their own in terms of looking for the convention spaces. But you're right. I mean, that's not something that I think we should have posted here in El Paso. I will definitely get the feedback to the right people.
Okay. I can send you the poster or whatever. When I saw it, I was like, are we serious?
Yeah, I found it here online. That's unfortunate. September 7th. Yeah, it just happened. Okay. Yeah, in the future, please, if you see something like that, send it my way. So I can make some noise about it. Do you have any more comments? Okay, I'll remind always the ASAC that ultimately we really only have one power, but we can use it for good. That's to make recommendations to the city council. And so I think this kind of discussion is good, right? This is exactly what we're supposed to be doing and talking about things that could be recommended, things that could work. And something can always be posted on one of our agendas for action to make some sort of recommendation to the city council about a particular law change, ordinance change, or action that the city could take, and we can make that recommendation, and then we approve a recommendation. It will go to the city council meeting agenda, and the council can have that discussion on our recommendations. Barbara, I know this was your item. Did you have anything that you wanted to close this out with?
Well, just that we could get more spays and neuters and some type of partnership with some of our rescues. I know our our numbers with Humane Society have gone down a lot. They were once 2,000 a year that they pulled from animal services, and now it's down to 200. And other rescues, with the exception of a few, I know Pug Rescue of El Paso and a few others do still pull from animal services, but some of the others aren't pulling anymore. So anyway, other than that, thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad we finally got to your item. It was a good discussion. We can move then to item A2. This is discussion on a presentation on an update of the Socorro Clinic. It's listed as Adan Parra. Oh, and there he is. Welcome, Adan. Go ahead.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yes, we
great.
can.
Good evening. I'm going to share my screen now. Give me one moment.
And Adan, just for anybody who hasn't met you yet, can you do a brief introduction as well?
Yes, sir. Good evening again, everybody. My name is Adan Parra. I'm the operations manager for the shelter. And I'm here to give you a brief update on our Socorro adoption facility, our Mission Valley Adoption Center. Of course, you know, we have the clinic down there, and right next door is a historical building that we've turned into another satellite adoption center. A little bit of background on each of those locations. The Mission Valley Adoption Center, we've kind of gotten creative with it over the years, had to use it for a transport hub at times. We've housed a couple dozen animals out there in July in preparation for a back-to-back transport so that we could free up some space out at the main shelter there. But now we're ready to get it back and open for adoptions. Those adoptions, as we know, are a vital part of achieving our goal of having less animals there at the shelter. And so we've made numerous improvements on that facility. It was not in the greatest conditions, but I will, here in a few slides, I'll be showing you all exactly what all we've done. The second part of that is the clinic. The clinic is the one that's right on the corner to the right of the adoption center. At that clinic, as mentioned in one of the previous presentations, we do the public spay neuter, where our doctors are performing anywhere from 40 to 50 low-cost spay neuter surgeries each and every Monday. So that could be north of 200 surgeries in a single month for the public. The other side of that token is our TNR clinics. The TNR clinics, as Barbara had mentioned, Dr. Kane performs 2 to 3 Saturday or Sunday clinics each month, where they sterilize about 50 cats each day. So that's about 150 to 200 cats that go through that clinic as well. And those go right back out into the community so that we can keep them away from having to stay in the shelter for extended periods. Right now, we've got about 300 cats. So that capacity is definitely of need for us there at the shelter. This is the initial condition of the Socorro facility. Nothing too special about it, and but we've definitely made a lot of improvements on it. All of my slides here will just be pictures. They say a picture says 1,000 words, so that's all I'm going to be showing you all today. This is how it was before. We had the square chain link kennels in that facility. We had some metal panels on there that create a visual barrier. But it looks very piecemealed. The entryway there on the right with the desk wasn't too inviting. And you'll see the improvements that we've made here in a minute. These were the restrooms there. It doesn't look like anybody would want to use those restrooms, but they were there, and those have been updated as well. That way, when we have the public start to go in there. Each of these rooms, The picture on the left is another room that's kind of on the side of the facility, and the one on the right is toward the back of the facility where we currently have some shoreline kennels. And here's a couple more pictures of the restrooms, but more importantly, the outside of the facility. It was, you know, it kind of looked abandoned almost. And so we've taken care of all of that as well. So here you can see what it looks like now. You know, we've done a lot of exterior and interior painting. We've gotten the exterior lights replaced. There's now turf in the play areas. There's a shade canopy that was put up by Christian from the Rescue Runners. As I mentioned, on the visual barriers between the kennels, and then the kennel upgrade itself. Here's some more pictures kind of highlighting the new appearance of the exterior. Even one staff member that we have kind of frequents the establishment Caddy Corner, known as Speaking Rock. She likes to go there for the football games, and she mentioned that she didn't even know that this existed. But since we've done some of these improvements, it very much stood out to her from passing on Zaragoza. And so yeah, I also had one of the directors from Streets and Maintenance. They're helping us repave the parking lot there between the two facilities. He mentioned the same thing. He had no idea that this facility was there. This is how our entryway looks now. We've got a pop of color inside, of course, with our brand colors in mind, with the purple and orange. And now it's a lot more inviting, in my opinion. It looks 1,000 times better than it did before. There you'll see the kennels, very aesthetically pleasing. The barriers there, kind of similar to the ones that we had before, but now they're all matching. They're not different colors. And those barriers provide, sound deadening for the dogs there in our care, but also that prevents them from seeing each other and bothering each other too much. And let's see what else. This is what our restrooms look like now. We do have awkwardly some washer dryer in that restroom there. That's kind of the setup that was there many years ago, and we'll be using that to do laundry when it gets into the colder months, as far as the blankets that we provide to the animals there. Here's another closer look at the kennels. Each of the kennels has one of those elevated dog beds, and they've all have pails for water as well. Here's the exterior half of the facility. Like I mentioned, the turf on the ground that was donated to us, and that sage shell was put up by Christian from the Rescue Runners. We're looking to put one on that right side, the side closer to Zaragoza. We'll be doing that here within the coming weeks, hopefully. We just need to procure that shade sail. I want to get one that's a little bit bigger and covers more of the area. But any shade is very welcomed, and we appreciate what the Rescue Runners helped us with. So that's pretty much it. Really, in a nutshell, as far as the improvements that we've made there at the Socorro facility, kind of giving you all an idea of the number of surgeries that we do next door at the clinic. But in my opinion, it's night and day. You know, we had Mr. Padilla, Mr. Juan Ibarra, and another animal care attendant whose name is Edgar. Between the three of them, they knocked this out in a matter of a couple of weeks. If we had to get outside vendors or facilities involved, we likely would not even be halfway through this project. But we've gotten these improvements done. We heard the feedback from you all and from the community, and I think we've produced pretty well on our promise to make that site better. If y'all have any questions, I'll definitely take them with regard to either the clinic or the Socorro Adoption Center.
Eileen, you got in there quickly. Go ahead.
well, we want to start runs. So my question is, when are you going to have dogs there?
We actually moved dogs down there this afternoon. However, we want to give our staff, the staff that we're going to have down there isn't familiar with the facility and the cleaning protocols and all of that. Is, we do have, we try to rotate our staff. So we're going to give them about 10 days, and then we'll announce on, I believe it's the 23rd. It's not this coming Monday, but the Monday after that, announced that it's open to the public for adoptions. But we can and will always accept volunteers out there if they want to, walk any of the dogs. Absolutely. I know we had a guest on here a few months back that was very vocal about wanting to get that open again, and I hope that she's pleased with the product that we now have. We're still going to work on things like a big sign, maybe a marquee of some sort, or a big banner that we can place on the front of that sign to make it all the more visible. But yeah, if y'all are interested in going out, I know you want to do a run. We'll just, if it's before that 23rd date that I mentioned, we just need to coordinate and let us know when everyone's going to be out there. But if they want to go on an individual basis, absolutely.
Okay. I can
but
check
we'll
in with Jason on
definitely
it.
keep you.
He's got the volunteer.
Yeah,
group.
perfect. Yeah, we'll definitely keep you all posted as far as when we're going to open it officially. But tentative we have for that 23rd date.
It looks really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you for improving the restrooms. Nobody.
Yeah, nobody wanted to set foot in
Yeah.
there.
That's
Any
all
other
for me.
questions for me?
All right, thanks. Yeah, then this looks awesome. I haven't had the opportunity to go see it finished yet, but knowing what it was like before and seeing it now in pictures, like it's a huge transformation. So
Definitely
you,
let
Lynn,
us
to
know.
the
We'll
staff
meet you
members.
out there one of these days and give you a quick tour. It's only one main room and two smaller rooms,
Yeah.
but definitely more than welcome to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, and again, Christian from Rescue Runners, you mentioned him a couple times putting up that shade. I want to give him. He's not here, but I will give him kudos. He did the shade here, and then so I used my office discretionary funds to buy shade canopies for the West Side Adoption Center, and Christian was right back up on the ladder. Michael and I did some helped him with some planning and some ladder holding, but he was the one up there with the hammer drill and stuff, like drilling into the rock and into the brick.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Representative Canales, because we just got word this afternoon that Fierro's office reached out. They want to use some of their discretionary funds and to get some more shade out at the West Side Adoption Center. So that was some welcome news that we received today. So we'll coordinate with his staff.
You didn't hear it from me, but I might have leaned on him a little bit to contribute some.
Yeah, we'll keep that hush hush.
Okay, are there any other comments on this item?
Thank you all.
I don't see any hands up. Thank you, Adan. We can then move to item A3. Now, I know this meeting was only posted until 7:30, and it is 7:32. Eileen has offered to push items A3 and A4 to the beginning of the next meeting if there's no objection.
Sounds good to me.
It's good. It means we had long, fruitful discussions today on the other items. So we'll make sure, I think we can just take no action on A3 and A4, and I'll make sure that they get posted again for the next meeting. So we can have those discussions, and I think we'll have a good update for you from the mobile pet scanner subcommittee. We were able to meet in the 2 months since our last meeting. Item number 6 is the future agenda items. As always, you can send in items to Maribel or to me, or again, I think it's convenient if you use the email address that Terry mentioned earlier, the asac@elpasotexas.gov. I think it comes to all of us. So any items that come up in the weeks between now and then, please send them in. but also it's an open call right now if anybody would like to suggest any agenda items other than the reposting of A3 and A4 from tonight. I don't see any hands going up. I think everybody's ready to be done. So that segues nicely into item 7, which is adjournment. It is 7:33. Okay. The next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October 9th at 6 p.m. Also virtual. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
All right. We have a motion from Eileen. Is there a second? Barbara's waving. I'll take that as a second. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And the meeting is adjourned at 7:34 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good discussion, everybody.